substitute for justice. And finally, after 7 years, this deserves to be solved. Michelle deserves justice. She was killed April 11th, 2007. It's a big day in this case because essentially the jury today could come back with a decision. So was it strong? Was it powerful? Want to go to my attorneys? I have Jeff Gold in New York, Kirby Clements here in Atlanta. Yeah, Jeff, I asked this before. No one likes Dr. MacNeill, of course, on the state side. And when you lay out exactly what he did, having that mistress, he admitted to that. Yeah, he's an unlikable guy, but is the evidence there to prove that he murdered his wife, Michelle?
You know, one thing on that, Susan, is apparently there's nobody on the defense side that likes him either. I suppose they didn't want to put any character evidence on because the state could then rebut it. But it was very interesting that a doctor or a lawyer, a pillar of his community, couldn't put on anybody to say and rebut some of this immoral testimony that we have. Certainly the state is relying on emotion. Look what the prosecutor said in the beginning. In the beginning, he said to the jury, rely on your common sense. And what did he say at the end? At the end, he said, do the right thing. That's because there's one thing lacking, and that is how the poor victim died in this case. They just don't know it. So Kirby's right. It's emotion on the one hand. I think the prosecutor did fine. I'm not one of those that said that the prosecutor had to go overboard in emotion in his closing, but he needed to spell out all the circumstantial evidence and then tie it together with two statements. Anna Waltham, the first mistress, who said he knew how to kill somebody, and then the last one, inmate number one, who said, hey, he told me he killed her. That's what the prosecutor had to do. Did he do enough? This really is a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I have a feeling the defense is going to say that. Look, these are inmates. Where do you go if you're the defense on that side? Kind of chip at their credibility, at the daughters?
Well, I mean, to some degree, the defense does have to talk about Alexis because Alexis said on the stand, I think my father did it. And in fact, she was kind of the ringleader, so to speak, in putting this thing together and getting him charged a year and a half after. But look, these daughters were very, very important. When you have the daughters of a defendant almost uniformly say, we think he did it, and testify against him, very emotional, very powerful in this case, added to the way he acted around the funeral and acted in the weeks after. All that stuff says to people in their gut, he did it. I haven't seen a case in a long time that it is really this close in terms of what this jury can do. If they look at all the testimony, including the daughters, and in their heart they say he did it, there's enough that the state put forward for them to hang their hat on. If, on the other hand, as Kirby said, they want to say, listen, I don't know how she died. No one knows how she died. That's a reasonable doubt. They certainly can do that, too. The lawyer in me says that. The emotion in me says the former.
All right, Jeff and Kirby, thank you. After the break, it's the defense's turn to do that. We'll see where they go. And by the way, Alexis, the defense's turn and really their last chance to address the jury and lay out their case, saying right away, Dr. MacNeill did not murder his wife. It doesn't make sense. There's not enough proof. So you get an idea of where he's going with the closing argument. I want to bring in my own attorneys. Here in Georgia is Kirby, also Jeff Gold in New York. And Jeff, I'll start with you. Right off the bat, he's saying, look, the proof just isn't there. We knew that was coming. And what was your take on the chart of reasonable doubt and burden of proof? We also saw that in the Casey Anthony trial.
Well, you see it in many trials. It's a fairly standard defense fare to try to explain to the jury. It's not a hunch. It's not a guess. It's not something that's more likely than not. It's reasonable doubt, and you have to try to quantify it in some way. And so a chart's a good way to show you all the levels you have to get up to. I thought he did a good job on trying to start out saying every circumstance is not circumstantial evidence. That's a good place to start because the entire state's case is circumstantial evidence with the exception of this possible admission to the inmate. So I think he started out in a quiet way, a bit smirking if you ask me. Is that just the way he is?
I think it is.
You know, but a bit smirking, a little quiet to get the jurors' attention. We'll see where it goes, but a good start.